It starts with a knock. 3 raps, evenly spaced, unnaturally calm.
It's 11:47 p.m. You're alone and standing under your porch light, under a bulb that seems to flicker just a little more than it should, is a child. Maybe 10 years old, maybe 12. No coat, no parent, no bicycle leaning against the fence. Just a child, standing perfectly still on a street where every other house has already gone dark. Because this child's eyes are wrong. Not brown, not blue, not gray. They are black. Just 2 flat, bottomless voids, staring through you like you are the one being studied. And in a voice far too calm, far too measured, for a child alone in the dark at midnight asks you one question.
Can we come in?
Tonight, we are not telling you a ghost story. We are opening a case file. A file with over 2,000 testimonies spanning 4 continents, by parents, by long-haul truckers, by people who have nothing except one detailment they cannot unsee. Somewhere out there, something is still knocking, and by the end of this, you will have to decide for actually is. Let's begin where the file begins. October 6, Abilene, Texas. A man named Brian Bethel is sitting in his car in an empty movie theater parking lot, writing checks by the dim glow of his interior light. It's just past 10 p.m. The lot is silent until a soft tap lands on his window. He looks up. 2 boys, roughly 10 and 12 years old, are standing beside his car. One speaks first, in a voice Bethel would later describe as strangely flat. He asks to use Bethel's phone.
We forgot our money for the movie. We need a ride home.
He almost says yes. His hand is already moving toward the door handle. And then, for reasons he could never fully explain, something in him goes cold, and his hand doesn't move again. He looks up, directly into the boy's eyes. Solid black, both of them. No whites, no irises, just 2 dark, endless holes where human eyes should be. He would later write that in that instant, pure, primal terror overtook him. A fear with no name, nothing to justify it, except the eyes themselves. He restarted his engine and drove away, hands shaking on the wheel, leaving 2 dark shapes standing motionless in an empty parking lot. That single account, posted to an early internet message board, is the documented origin point of a legend that has since spread to every corner of the globe. But here is the question that should already be forming in your mind. Was Brian Bethel the first person this ever happened to? Or was he simply the first person brave enough to write it down? Because if you comb through the file, through thousands of testimonies collected in the 3 decades since, the same details resurface again and again. From witnesses who have never read each other's accounts, in towns thousands of miles apart, late at night, always a knock or a tap on glass, always children, never adults. For entry, for a ride, and always the same paralyzing wave of dread the moment eye contact is made. Some witnesses report their car engines dying the instant the children approach, only to roar back to life the second the children walk away. Others report an overwhelming compulsion, an almost hypnotic let them in, despite every rational instincts, and in nearly a count, the children never blink. So what are we actually looking at? Let's examine this the way any good investigator would, by putting every theory on the table and holding it up to the light. Theory number 1. These are not human at all. The claim, the black-eyed children are paranormal, possibly interdimensional entities that require verbal permission before they can cross a threshold into your home. The evidence. This invitation requirement is not a modern invention. It echoes centuries-old folklore found across Slavic, Scottish, and Scandinavian traditions. The belief that a malevolent spirit cannot enter a home uninvited, a rule later crystallized in 18 Stoker's Dracula, in which the vampire cannot cross a threshold without being asked. Investigators who catalog these reports point to one consistent, almost eerie detail. In over 90% of documented encounters, the entity never attempts to physically force entry. It only ever asks. The debunk. But here's the flaw investigators can't ignore. There is not one piece of physical evidence. No photograph has ever survived forensic analysis. No DNA. No corroborating radar or thermal data. And critically, the must-be-invited-in motif is one of the most recognizable tropes in Western pop culture, meaning every witness, consciously or not, may already carry this exact script in their memory before they ever claim to experience it. Is this an ancient predator finally being documented in the internet age, or a modern mind, primed by a century of vampire fiction, filling in the blanks of a frightening encounter with a story it already knows? Theory number 2. There is no entity at all. Only us. The claim, the black-eyed children, are a purely modern phenomenon. An internet-born piece of folklore, weaponized by fear and spread through what researchers call ostension, the act of real people unconsciously performing a legend they've absorbed. The evidence? No written or oral record of black-eyed children exists anywhere before Brian Bethel's 1996 post. Compare this to Slender Man, a fictional character invented in 2009 on an internet forum, who within 5 years was being described by children as a being they claimed to have personally encountered. Language analysts, who've studied hundreds of black-eyed children reports, note recurring, almost templated phrasing. A wave of dread, couldn't move, voice too calm. The exact fingerprint of a story, copied, retold, and internalized until the retelling feels like memory. The debunk. Yet the file has a hole in it, a handful of dispatch logs from small-town police departments, never fully authenticated, but persistently cited by researchers. Reference reports of strange, black-eyed children. Going back to the early 1980s, more than a decade before Bethel's account went public. If those logs are real, the theory collapses. If they're urban myth layered on urban myth, the theory holds. We genuinely do not know which is the entire case file in miniature. Theory number 3. The explanation was never supernatural. It was always inside the witness. The claim? These encounters are misfiring biology, hypnagogic hallucinations and pupil dilation, dressed up by adrenaline darkness into something monstrous. The evidence. An overwhelming majority of reports, researchers place the figure near 80%, occur between 11 p.m. and 3 a.m., precisely the window where the brain drifts into hypnagogic states, producing vivid, dreamlike hallucinations that feel entirely real. Add to that simple optics. In low light, human pupils dilate to their maximum, swallowing the iris, meaning a genuinely frightened witness, heart pounding, staring at a child's face, lit only by a porch bulb or a dashboard glow, may be looking at nothing more than adrenaline-blown pupils and a trick of shadow. The debunk. Except this theory can't explain everything in the file. Multiple independent witnesses, strangers to each other, reporting the identical encounter, in daylight, within the same rough geographic window. It can't explain failing and restarting on cue, and it can't explain why, across 3 decades and thousands of miles, the script is always the same. The knock, the request, the eyes, and that single, suffocating wave of wrongness that every single witness describes in almost identical words. So here is where the case currently stands. Paranormal researchers who track sightings globally estimate the file now holds somewhere in the range of 2,000 documented reports, spanning the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, and Australia, with clusters oddly concentrated around major transit routes, gas stations, motel parking lots, isolated residential streets just off the highway. In the last several years, the file has grown stranger still. Homeowners have submitted doorbell camera footage, smart cameras, capturing small, still figures at the door at 2 a.m., gone from the frame, seconds later, with no vehicle, no footsteps, no trace on any neighboring camera. Some of this footage has been picked apart frame by frame by digital forensic analysts, hunting for compression artifacts, staged lighting, anything that reveals a hoax. A portion of it, they concede, they simply cannot explain. Which brings us to you. Ask yourself, if a legend can spread this precisely, this consistently, across 3 decades and 4 continents, without a single confirmed photograph, is that proof it's fake? Or is that exactly what a genuine, deliberately elusive predator would look like if it depended on invitation, on consent, on you opening the door yourself? Because that's the detail investigators keep circling back to. In every single verified account, paranormal, psychological, the outcome hinges on one single human choice. The black-eyed children have never broken down a single door. They have only ever asked. Which means somewhere tonight, on a quiet street, past midnight, under a flickering porch light, that knock is either the last dying echo of a 30-year-old internet hoax, or it is a test. A test of whether you, unlike the witness before you, will look into those eyes and say yes. The door is still yours to open, for now. If this file left you with more questions than gating cases like this one with us, and drop your own theory in the comments, paranormal, psychological, or something else entirely,